Shalom. We here for part 19. It's part 19, man. We're going to try to get it in real quick before the Sabbath starts so we can get a little workout in. Part 19 of Africans in Colonial, Louisiana by Miss GWENDOLYN MIDLO Hall. We're almost done with chapter 7. We're almost done with chapter 7, and we're working our way to the back of the book, man. We are working our way to the back of the book. We are definitely over halfway. We're definitely over halfway through the book. So we're going to keep moving, man. We're going to keep moving. I'm tired, but we're going to get in early. We're going to get in early today. So when you come on in, man, like, comment, subscribe, share, man. Tell your people, man, we out here reading shit, doing shit, learning shit, trying to be better at some shit, growing some shit, finding some shit, searching some shit. We out here doing our thing in the sea of pages, man. In the sea of pages. That's what we out here doing. But one little bit at a time, man. As long as you have breath to breathe, then you have all you need to succeed. So let's go ahead and succeed and make a move at it. Let's make a move at it and do what we do, man. We getting there. You know, I put out a short today. A little short today. We was in by the cypress swamps. We wasn't in it, but we went by the cypress swamps, or the sepia, as the book calls it. And we went ahead and I was like, man, let's go ahead and since I'm reading a book, let's give y'all a visual. Let's give y'all a visual for those who don't know, who may not be from Louisiana, a visual of the cypress swamps. So that's what we did, man. Went ahead and gave a visual. Cypress swamps can be a beautiful place to be, but very dangerous. Very dangerous if you don't know what you're doing, if you're not paying attention, you don't know what to look for. Hey, you got to keep your head on the swivel. Oh, man. Yeah, that's what we got. Big alligator snapping, turtles, big snakes, water moccasins, all type of stuff. Big gators out there. My papa was, after I cut the short off, my papa was telling me that he tracked a big old gator back there, you know, from one end of the swamp all the way to the other end of the swamp, you know, but he never really caught that thing. Because back in his day when he was a younger man, they used to call him the Gator Man. Gator Man. Hey, shalom, 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 shalom. Naruto. Naruto. Yeah, it look like it's, I hope it don't rain because I still got to cut my grass Sunday. And I need my grass to dry so my ground will be hard enough to run my mower. But we're going to see what Boss the Flu. We're going to finish off chapter 7, Boss the Flu, and see what Miss GWENDOLYN MIDLO Hall has to say. But we're going to keep going with our routine. But we ain't worried about Mr. Paul Willie. Yes, Naruto. I'm about to read. We're about to finish off chapter 7. I've been liking Paul Wall since back in the day, the color change and click, but that's not what we on. We are on Africans in Colonial, Louisiana. That's what we on. But we're about to get this little workout in before we go ahead and get moving. Before we go ahead and get moving through the sea of pages. We're going to work our body one time, work our mind, and work our body one more again so we can help build this routine. We've been on this routine for pretty long and pretty strong right now. So we just got to keep at it, man. We got to keep at it to see the improvement that we want to see. Good things can come a day at a time, and you won't never see no improvement if you don't get things moving. What up, my boy?
You heard what you say?
All right. I'll give you a hug. Now let me read. All right?
Okay.
I love you.
Okay.
All right, bones cracking. All right. Yeah. So let's get this workout in right quick. 25 things. That's what I ask of y'all. I'm gonna do about 50. I'm gonna do about 50 things today, but I'm gonna start off with 25, one set, and then 25, another set, and then we'll go ahead and get to reading so we can get chapter 7 out the way before the sun go down, so at least I could get a little workout in before the Sabbath starts. All right, so let's get it, everybody. Get what you gonna get, do what you gonna do, just make sure you push through. Because I'm out here. All right, I got my weights today. So let's get it going. Oh, Lord. I got my weights and my little shit. So we gonna get in this thing, man. Oh, big falls. Oh. All right. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20. Ooh, that left arm. 21, 22, 23, 24, one more. 25. All right. Let's get one more set. One more set. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24, 25. One. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. All right. 50. I gave you 50. Hope you did something. I hope you did something. Now we're going to get to jumping. Let's read now. Let's read. All right. All right, let's read now. Whew. All right, Miss Gwendolyn Midlo Hall has definitely been trying to go the historical way with the book. Is my personal opinion. I mean, she's done a lot of research. Don't get me wrong. There's a lot of things that have gone into this book. I don't think that I don't think a lot of historical stuff is accurate. I do not. Especially with other books, like the next book we're going to read, The Black Indians. Some of that may tell different tales, but I still think that they did have, I think they had more slaves here than what they may have accounted for. Yeah, they might not have came from Africa, but I still think that they had more slaves in here. And maybe that's why she didn't account for it, because it says Africans in Colonial Louisiana, and she was probably being specific to that. So they mentioned a lot of Senegalese and the Woloffs, as well as some from Gambia. I'm trying to think of the other place that she mentioned. Some definitely off the west coast of Africa places, St. Louis, Port St. Louis, and a couple other places. But I think it was a greater number of slaves than they are accounting for. So Bas de Fleuve in the beginning of Bas de Fleuve is where it talked about the cypress swamps and how a lot of the free slaves, the runaway slaves, were going to the cypress swamps, which is why I went. That ain't why. While I had the chance to go today, while I was getting cane poles with my papa, that's why I took the time to go show y'all what the cypress swamps look like. So you can kind of get a image in your mind of what it would look like for somebody to be running through that, somebody to be able to hide through that, and the things that might come because of them being in that. It's easy to, you could easily have built you a cabin somewhere down there and really not be known that you're down there. There's plenty of ways to get food. You could have fish hunt. If you watch it close, I showed the deer toes that's coming through there. So it's deers that walk through there all the time. You just got to be there to catch them, and you could eat, you could survive. It's blackberries was all on the ground. Well, they had cut some of them down, but blackberries was around. There's plenty of other things that's around too that's edible that you could eat. And if you knew what it was, you could exist out in the swamp for years without anybody ever knowing you're there. You don't really have to come out the swamp, especially if you know how to survive and handle yourself. So let's get it. This part 19 of Miss GWENDOLYN MIDLO Hall's Sea of Pages, Africans in Colonial Louisiana. This is the end. We're going to finish up chapter 7 today. It is clear from the language of the syndic that was the independent attitude of the slaves that concerned the slave owners. Language like, they have dared to go beyond the limits of the submission which they owe, and references to their roots of independence, and his call for uprooting this kind of sedition. He couched his demands for blood in touching words of concern for the welfare of widows and orphans crying for the tribunal to protect their lives and property. The syndic claimed that the Maroons had become more bold and had stepped up their assaults, their robberies, and murders, and they were stealing corn, rice, and flour. The syndic claimed that these steps proved that the Maroons were preparing for a general uprising since, according to him, they already had plenty of food in their retreats. A list of all the militiamen in the district was made, and signaling out all men who were used to going out on the lakes to hunt. Those unaccustomed to El Monte were to stay behind and replace those sent to pursue the Maroons. Now, members of the St. Malo band cut off from supplies and intelligence, had to take chances, and they sent raiding parties to obtain food. And on May 18th, it was reported that they stole a large pirogue and broke into the storehouse of the German coast, and taking 20 barrels of corn, 8 of rice, and 1 of flour. It was a well-planned operation carried out with the support of slaves who signaled to each other along the river. And at the end of May, the Maroons broke into Madame Mandeville's food storehouse. The black guard posted at the storehouse was found shot, his body thrown into the mud. Bologna organized an expedition of 100 men to pursue the Maroons into Goddard land, and cut off from information about the expedition being organized against them. The Maroons sent 4 spies in 2 small pirogues to steal food and to spy on the expedition. Among them was Bastien, slave of Oliver, who had been recruited by Bologna to spy on the Maroons and then to lead the expedition to the headquarters of St. Malo in Gallardland. Now, on June 3rd, at 3 o'clock in the morning, Bastien sought out Marigny, a militia officer who had remained at his plantation for a day longer than expected, and Bastien led Marigny to his 3 companions. All 3 were captured and imprisoned, including the famous Michel, who was badly wounded. And privy to the first information about the exact location of St. Malo's headquarters, Marigny proceeded on his own to seek out the St. Malo band. And although his orders were to guard the mouth of the Rio de la Perros, he hoped to win all the glory of capturing St. Malo by itself. Now, Marigny led his detachment on to Lake Borg and at 2 o'clock in the afternoon, and instead of joining Galmard, as he had been ordered to do, he kept to himself the information supplied by Bastien. Now, Galmard saw that Marigny was moving away from him and sent a canoe to ask Marigny what he was doing. And Marigny informed Galmard that he was going to take the mouth of the Rio de la Peros. And instead, in broad daylight and without taking the least precaution, Marigny entered the bayou where the Maroons were located and began to fire. He wounded Isidore, slave of Don Basilio, and all the rest escaped. He burned their huts and they rejoined Galmard after they carried out what Beligny called sarcastically this heroic action. Now, Beligny wrote that Marigny's conduct undermined their hopes of destroying the Maroons with one blow. And almost all of the most dangerous Maroons were there together. There are only 10 or 12 others wandering about around Baratania, Chapatulas, and La Concepcion. And Beligny tried to relieve Marigny of his command, but his fellow officers successfully defended him. The expedition, reinforced with 16 militiamen commanded by Oliver, received orders to map out all the hiding places of Galard land. And Beligny was confident that it was a matter of time before the Maroons were destroyed. He had taken measures to make sure that the Maroons would receive no aid from the plantations, and he reported that the St. Malo band was bottled up in Galard land and could not escape. But the expedition no longer had a spy to lead them to the Maroon settlement. Now, Cherbert's slave, with Beligny, had sent back once more as a spy, and 2 black women Maroons had surrendered to Marigny and destroying any hopes that they had in this spy. And the expedition returned to Galard land with little hope of finding the Maroons. They searched for 3 days without finding a trace of them, and Marigny's party withdrew. Now Galmard and his men remained joined by Oliver and his 16 militiamen. They sent several little pirogues along the labyrinths of bayous and seeking out traces of the Maroons. And Bautista Hugen, an officer of the colored militia, evidently a tracker, found traces of a path of the Maroons. Now Galmard sent well-armed men with 5 pirogues to follow their tracks, with instructions to take every precaution and to maintain silence. After following the Maroons' tracks for 2 hours, they came so close to the Maroons that they heard their voices. Shielded by rushes, the troops ran forward and discovered the Maroons spread out along the banks of the bayou within gunshot of the expedition. They opened fire, and the Maroons fled across the prairie full of holes and impenetrable brushes, water up to their waists, and Galmard could not follow them because of the bad leg. He climbed a live oak tree, from which he could see all the Maroons running like deer over the rushes, and he showed his men where the Maroons were running to, and sometimes by voice, sometimes with his hat or his handkerchief, and almost all the Maroons were captured. Now St. Malo was wounded by Oliver, who fired upon him from a great distance without knowing who he was. And seeing him fall, he approached him and discovered that he was St. Malo, who begged him to finish him off because he knew that his crimes merited death. Now 17 Maroons were captured. Philippe, slave to Trinone, and one of his principal leaders of the Maroons, fell wounded on the other side of the lagoon, where they could not follow him. And he was evidently finally captured because Trinone turned him out over to a ship's captain to be sold to an unexpected slave owner in St. Dominic. Now 3 Maroons, Prentons of Merciers, described as the least valuable of the band, Etienne of Mitre, and the Colas of Thomasine, were fishing in a little pirogue and fled when they heard the shots. The expedition returned to New Orleans on June 12th. And all the captives were imprisoned and put at the disposition of the Regio to be tried. And 7 more slaves were arrested at the Prevost and the Benvenue plantations. And by June 14th, there were 40 men and 20 women in prison, and more arrests followed. and 10 or 12 Maroons remained scattered in the depths of Gallard land and Barataria. And St. Malo's wound was so serious that the surgeon did not expect him to live through the trial, and gangrene had set in. Now, the Procurator General clamored for swift and exemplary punishment of the captured Maroons, as well as of those who had given them supplies and who had hidden them, claiming that an uprising had been planned, and under the protection of the Maroon leaders and the large numbers of blacks, who, it is said, were to unite with them. And otherwise, he claimed new disorders would take place that could not even be more dangerous, or that could be even more dangerous, and that could result in the loss of the colony. The Cabildo of New Orleans voted unanimously for swift and exemplary punishment of the prisoners in the bands of the Alcade or Accolade, as well as those. Let me see what that word is. Is it Accolade? Let me mark it first. ACLALDE. Maybe it's Accolade. Alcald, maybe. Let's look it up. Let's use the Terminator. ALCALDE. Alcalde means mayor. The alcalde means mayor. Prisoners in the hands of the mayor or the alcalde. Put my shit back on the charger. Or the mayor, as well as of those who had helped them, and in accordance with the laws of the Indies on Maroons. Now, how large was St. Malo's band? The list dated June 3rd, 1784 was most likely supplied by their most reliable spy, Bastion of Oliver, who reappeared on that same date, and this list counted 37 or 38 Maroons, almost all of whom were named, and it included at least 12 women, only 2 of whom were listed as wives of Maroons. And on July 1st, 1784, MIDLO reported that a total of 103 Maroons had been captured, and which no doubt included those captured in the raid of Ville-Gallard on March the 1st of 1783. Some of the Maroons were not captured or even identified, and it is clear that an impressive number of slaves, especially Creole slaves, were Maroons. And if we compare the size of St. Malo's band with that of the most famous Maroon band in St. Dominic, a colony of 500,000 slaves, we find that when the Manuel band left their mountain retreat after making a treaty with France and Spain, they numbered only 133 persons. It has been estimated that only about 500 Maroons ever occupied the entire wooded mountainous area separating France St. Dominic from Spanish Santo Domingo. If there was evidence of a general uprising planned by the Maroons, no trace of it has been found. And in contrast to the March 1st, 1783 raid, there is no written record of testimony of the accused. There was no trial, and Diriggio made a personal investigation and pronounced sentence. And although Belligny wrote to Myro that St. Malo confessed and vigorously implicated his companions, there are several cogent reasons. Cogent, I know I'm saying that wrong. Cogent reasons to doubt this confession. Several cogent. COGENT cogent. Several cogent clear, logical, and convincing. There are several clear and logical and convincing reasons to doubt his confession. There are several cogent reasons to doubt his confession, this confession. And first of all, in the same letter in which he described St. Malo's confession and implication of his comrades, Beligny was defending his conduct in the eyes of Miro. Beligny had received a letter from Miro stating that he expected to take charge of the trial and the sentencing of the Maroons himself after he returned from Pensacola. And Miro had evidently asked Beligny to respond to the charges made against him by Cirilo de Barcelona, the auxiliary bishop elect of Cuba, who knew Louisiana well and having served as chaplain with the Galvez expedition in 1780 to 1781. Now, Cirilo de Barcelona accused Beligny of cooperating with Dirigio in his tyrannical conduct and in the illegal trial and punishment of the Maroons. Baptist, one of the condemned, belonged to the Capuchin order, and was evidently a skilled and trusted slave, and he had not been captured in the raid. And when he was arrested, he was rented to himself and working on a plantation. Cirilo de Barcelona was in New Orleans on June 19, 1784, the date the executions were carried out, and he wrote an indignant letter to the king and presented it to the Cabildo of New Orleans, and protesting that he could not tolerate the inhumanity of seeing a manservant of this house, Capuchins, suffer without the formalities of justice and criminal trial to which he is entitled. And I ask that his case be handled by the prosecutor of the province so that he may be judged in conformity with law, and I protest as master of the said manservant of the nullity of so many being executed precipitously and irregularly, because the natural right of self-defense is allowed to all, and the law applies to the greatest crime. Now, for Beligny's description, the questioning of the Maroons was a private, one-man show, and Beligny's letter clearly implies that he himself had not witnessed St. Malo's confession. He explained that one day, out of curiosity, he went to hear the disposition and the reflections of St. Malo and found Dirigio bathed in perspiration in a small and poorly ventilated room, complaining of the excessive heat and fatigue he suffered from remaining there 10 to 12 hours every day. Now, Beligny suggested that he move to the Sala de Cremon, which was inside the prison, in order to be more comfortable while taking the depositions, and that he asked the chief marshal to let him use the room for 8 to 15 days. Evidently, Dirigio did not feel that it was necessary to prolong the depositions, and the Maroons were tried personally by Dirigio and executed within a week of their capture. Yeah, that boy was just trying to get that shit over with, kill them before he used them as an excuse. That's what it sounded like to me. Now, according to Dirigio, St. Malo implicated Jolie Collier, Henry Prince, and Baptiste in the killings of the Bay St. Louis. And however, Juan Pedro's recorded testimony taken the previous year placed only himself, his wife, Maria, and his son, Jolie Collier, at the incident. If Juan Pedro did not lie to protect himself, his wife, or his son, it seems unlikely that he lied to protect Maroons who were not related to him. And on June 19, 1784, as St. Malo was taken from the prison on his way to be hanged, and again, when he was at the top of the gallows, he told the people around him that Prince and Baptiste were innocent of the crime for which they were being punished. And several people told Beligny that they heard St. Malo say this. But Beligny claimed he only heard Baptiste tell St. Malo, "It would have been better for you to say that before, and when there was still time." And Prince and Baptiste were tied to the foot of the gallows and flogged 200 times by the public executioner for their alleged participation in the base St. Louis killings in St. Malo, Jolie, Collier, Michelle Henry, and Cecilia Canyute, St. Malo's wife, were all sentenced to be hanged. Cecilia, as St. Malo, inseparable companion in all his exploits, and Cecilia was not hanged because she claimed to be pregnant. She was not really pregnant, or else she miscarried, because on October 25th, 1784, her execution was suspended when she claimed again to be in the early stages of pregnancy. Now, Cirillo de Barcelona and all the Capuchins protested the executions and floggings by refusing to accompany the condemned prisoners to the gallows, and they stood on the balcony overlooking the public square while the executions were taking place, shouting that they could not stand to see an innocent member of their house suffer, and all of them refused to give last rites in protest against the procedure. Now, Diriggio reviewed the situation that he claimed the colony faced and wrote of the jubilation of the population on seeing St. Malo dragged in chains from the Sipier, which is the swamps where we were earlier. Now, he quoted settlers expressing satisfaction that they no longer needed to sleep with their guns to protect their wives and children. They could sleep soundly at night, confident that their provisions and their cows would not be stolen. And he emphasized the value of avoiding the delay of punishment by a long, drawn-out trial. And he wrote of the approbation of public opinion to the summary executions, but no one word about the so-called revolt to take over the colony and kill the whites. The very vox publica, these fears that led settlers to sleep fitfully with their guns beside them, were created and manipulated by these gentlemen of the Cabildo in an attempt to regain control over their slaves. Now, Benigni believed that the Capuchins had done a great deal of damage to the cause of the public order and tranquility among the slaves. He wrote, all of the slaves were or showed themselves to be happy with the imprisonment and punishment of St. Malo and his companions. They viewed it as just and indispensable, and God only knows what their dispositions will be now. It is reasonable to believe that this same punishment is now regarded as unjust and tyrannical because our bishop and the rest of the Capuchins have disapproved of it with so much notoriety. And in August, 4 more Maroons were sentenced to be hanged. 3 Maroons received 300 lashes and were exiled from the colony, and 17 received 200 lashes. And damn, 17 received 200 lashes. Let me see. What is that, man? What is that? 17 received 200 lashes. 3,400 lashes. 3,400 lashes. Yes, sir. Is that Burdell? Burdell here? 17 received 200 lashes and were shackled with a 12-pound chain for 13 months. And 6 women received 200 lashes and were branded on the right cheek with an M. 10 women received 300 lashes. Shit, they getting higher. And were shackled with a 12-pound weight for 3 months. And 2 Maroons who helped the expedition. Let me go back. 2 Maroons who helped the expedition were pardoned. 5 slaves belonging to Captain Benvenu, who were convicted of assisting and trading with fugitives, and another of his slaves was convicted of running away without robbing or associating with committing any crime, and they were not sentenced to death, which they merit because the principal leaders no longer exist, and that would perhaps ruin an innocent and poor master. Now, they were branded on the cheek with an M, and returned to their masters in April of 1785. And Galvez at last responded to Myro's letter written the summer before. Galvez expressed his gratitude for and his approval of the capture and exemplary punishment of the Maroon leaders. After the Civil War was over and the slaves were freed, an old woman of St. Bernard Parish, the home of GWENDOLYN, sang the following Creole slave song describing the execution of St. Malo. Alas, young man, come make lament for poor St. Malo in distress. They chased, they hunted him with dogs. They fired a rifle at him. They dragged him across from the cypress swamp. His arms they tied behind his back. They tied his hands in front of him. They tied him to a horse's tail. They dragged him up into the town before those grand cabaldo men, and they charged that he had made a plot to cut the throats of all the whites. They asked him who his comrades were. Poor St. Malo said not a word. The judge has his sentence read to him, and then they raised the gallows tree. They drew the horse, the cart moved off, and left St. Malo hanging there. The sun was up on hour high, and they left his body swinging there. The carrion crows to feed upon. The rest is in French, or the rest is in Creole, and I'm not going to try to murder it. The destruction of St. Malo and the Maroons did not change the indomitable character of the Creole slaves in Louisiana, or their creative adaptation of the topography of the country. But between 1777 and 1788, the slave population of Bas de Fleuve decreased by 24.8% to 1,883. The drop in the slave population of Bas de Fleuve was sharper than that of the white population, down from 4.446 in 1777 to 3.72 slaves to each white in 1788. And at the time, when the slave population was increasing much faster than the white population in the rest of Louisiana, Acosta Rodriguez finds the population drop in Bas de Fleuve difficult to explain because it was located near New Orleans and Tchoupitoulas, and evidently there was a policy of population removal because of the strategic nature of the area and the adaptation of the slaves to the bayous and swamps of Galardland. According to the Creole slave song, St. Malo's body was left hanging from the gallows to be consumed by birds of prey. The manner of St. Malo's death had a transcendent significance that no doubt escaped the Cabildo men. And in earlier times, the corpses of Bambara were hung in trees until they rotted, and their bones were preserved for making charms. And the more violent the death, the stronger the charm. And special charms were created to preserve the souls of individuals who died violently through murder, warfare, or justice. And these charms were believed to contain the souls of all those who had died in combat, and they were kept in a separate sack and carried to the battlefield in wartime to lend the spirit support of the warrior ancestors to their descendants. The debt that poor whites of Louisiana owed to the Maroon communities of the 18th century is engraved on the language they still speak today. The Cajuns and the Canary Islanders, poverty-stricken immigrants who came to Louisiana during the last half of the 18th century, had to learn to adapt to the swamps, an environment that was totally foreign to them. And the ancestors of the fiercely defiant and independent people who live in the swamps of Louisiana learned to survive physically and economically from the runaway slaves who first sought refuge there. And variants of Louisiana Creole are still spoken by about 10,000 whites living along the Atchafalaya Basin, which is where I'm along. Well, at least I'm not far. I'm not far from the Atchafalaya Basin. And when I go fishing, that's what I fish along the Atchafalaya. They are farmers, trappers, and fishermen living in small, isolated communities in the countryside and in the swamps, and they themselves, not without some shame, characterize their language as Francois Nigret. And according to the Ingrid Newman, it is not surprising that to the first to find, at times, young white boys at ease in speaking Creole when they accompany their fathers on hunting expeditions. And it seems to have the status of the secret language used by men. The traditional male occupations, like fishing and hunting, are often linked to the usage of the vernacular. And this is one reason why I like to go fishing with my papa. It's one, the stories and the things that I get a chance to learn from him. Now, Newman does not explain how poor whites have come to adopt the language of the blacks, but the explanation seems quite clear. It is the language of the economy of the swamps and derived from slave hunters and maroon settlements during the 18th century and retained and regenerated by the white men who fish, trap, and hunt. And some poor whites of Louisiana call themselves coon asses, meaning the behind of the raccoon, identifying themselves in a defined manner with the animal who survives in the swamps through independent and self-sufficient occupations. And identification with this quick and cunning animal is as well as the language used to describe the occupations pursued in the swamps, derives from Louisiana's Afro-Creole traditions. And that was the end of chapter 7. That was the end of chapter 7 of Africans in Colonial Louisiana. The chapter was named Bas de Fleuve. Bas de Fleuve. Bas de Fleuve. De Fleuve. The Creole slaves adapt to the cypress swamps, which, once again, if you go check the short that I put out today, you'll be able to see a glimpse of the cypress swamps, because I happen to go there. Oh, man. And that was only a little piece of the cypress swamps that I had shown. Because, shit, I wasn't about to wade through that water. Not with my sons, at least. Not with my sons. We was not about to wade through the cypress swamps today. Not today. You know, and we definitely would need a pirogue. You definitely need a pirogue, a little paddle boat, you know, a little something that you could just mosey your way on down between them cypress knees and move your way deep into that swamp. But you better be ready, because that little pirogue is easy to be overturned. That little pirogue can easily be overturned by a big gator that's in there. My papa then told me stories about how him and my daddy then pulled out big alligator snapping turtles from out of that swamp back there. You know, and the swamp that we went in, the swamp that I showed you, the swamp my grandfather is 92, and he was out there. He was out there still moving around, still doing this thing, collecting cane poles for his garden. This is a swamp that he hunted as a child. And he said that he had been hunting since he was 6. He was hunting that land. You know, he used to walk from where he lived to the swamp land back there. You know, and the topography of the area where we are was a lot different back there. And right now, I-49 runs through the area. But he said he was there before I-49 was even built. He was alive before I-49 was built. And he used to walk across where I-49 runs through right now. But, you know, it's good to get them stories. It's good. I love to sit down and hear him tell his old stories. Like my son calls them old timer, his old timer stories. Man, there's good wisdom in them stories, and good knowledge that he has. Man, y'all should see his garden. His garden is so beautiful. He doing his thing, and I got my garden, and I'm doing a little something. Don't get me wrong, I'm doing a little something, but I'm nowhere near the way he is right now. You know, that was the reason for the cane poles, is so he could box up his peppers, so that way the wind don't blow his peppers down. You know, it's so much knowledge I need to learn from him. And hopefully he has many more years to come, so that way I can glean as much knowledge as I can, because he know how to survive. He can survive. You know, I don't eat all the shit he eat, but man, he can survive. And he been surviving. You know, he made his living off of them swamps. And like I said, they used to call him the Gator Man. And that's what he used to do. Hunt gators, hunt anything, turtle, fish. He run dogs. He's still running dogs at 92, hunting rabbits, lapin, hunting the lapin. He's still shooting squirrels and birds. He old eagle eye. At 92, he's still knocking them down, man. He's still knocking them down. So, but hey, we succeeded. We succeeded in finishing off chapter 7, Bas de Fleuve. And now we're going ready for the next part. In part 20, we ready to jump into chapter 8, which is the Point Capit post, race mixture, and the freedom at the frontier settlement. But before we get that in, man, let's go ahead and get in the last little workout. Let's go ahead and get in the last little workout before, at least so we can finish off this live. And we're going to get it in before the Sabbath kicks in because we still got some time. We still got some time before the Sabbath kicks in. Be on the lookout tomorrow for sure for the Sabbath reading. Be on the lookout tomorrow for the Sabbath reading. And also we'll probably try to get up, Lord willing. He allowed me to open my eyes tomorrow and have breath to breathe. Then I'm going to get up and see what it is and what it ain't, what we can and what we can't in the rise in scripts, where we're going to open up the book of Enoch and start taking a gander at the book of Enoch in the tomorrow, early tomorrow, depending on what time I get up, But man, like, comment, subscribe, share, tell your people, man, we out here doing shit, reading shit, learning shit, man. We trying to grow some shit, build some shit, and be better all the way around. And it starts with the little things, a little bit at a time. You succeed at the little things, and then you work your way up to succeeding at the big things. Hey, nobody can stop you, only you yourself. But you got to burn down the plantations that's holding you back and they got you shackled up in your mind first. You got to burn them down and rebuild up something good. Let the ground in your mind be nourished. And sometimes that's what they say, you know, when you burn the field, it makes the ground a lot more, what's the word I'm looking for? A lot more healthy, a lot more able to grow bigger and better. The return plant's going to grow bigger and better. So let's do that. Let's grow our minds bigger and better than what they were. But you got to burn down the shit that's in there first. You got to burn it down. You got to redirect a lot of shit. You have the choice to choose of what you allow to come into your mind, what you download, what you input. You know, so do that. Be more wise. Be more wise so that way you're not susceptible to the lies. But let's get this workout in. Let's get this workout in. I hope it don't rain, man. I hope it don't rain because I need the ground to dry up. Oh, it look like it's gonna rain, but don't do that thing. 25, man. Let's get it. 25 things. What you gonna do? You do something. 25 things for you, and I'm gonna do 25. I'm gonna do what I did the first time. 25 with the chest, and then 25 for the back, man. Let's get it. 25 of them. 25. Like I said, you got to start somewhere. Hey, sometimes you got to start small and work your way up. Time, patience, consistency. All that shit is key if you want to see improvement no matter what it is. Whether it be reading, building shit, building your body, building your mind. It's going to take some time. It's going to take some consistency. It's going to take some breaking down some shit and building some shit back up, man. So don't be scared. Don't be frustrated. Because it is easy. It is easy and can be easy to be frustrated and lose your way, lose the fire that may be burning in you. But as long as you have breath to breathe, then you have all you need to succeed. You just have to make the choice to succeed because you have everything you need. Let's get it. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24, 25. All right, let's get this back. Let's get this legs. Them 40s ain't no joke. Them 40s ain't no joke, baby. Y'all, this ain't no joke, but you do what you can. Start somewhere, man. You gotta start somewhere. You gotta start somewhere. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15. I feel like I'm starting the lawnmower. 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24, 25. As I feel, get that stretch. Let that arm go all the way down. Stretch that thing out. Start that lawnmower. What's up, my boy?
You give me this book, please, eh? Wait, you're done?
Yeah, I got this last set. This last set, then I'm done. Last set.
The rice is done.
I ain't worried about no rice being done, man. Get out of the way. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Count
9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24, 25.
There we go. Whew. Whew, wait. I'm out here, baby. I succeeded. I succeeded. All right. So I hope you got something, man. I hope you got something, man. Whew. Yeah, I felt that one. I felt that one. It felt good, though. No pain, no gain, baby. It didn't hurt, but I could definitely feel it. I could definitely feel it in the areas that I was trying to target. I definitely feel it in my chest, and I definitely feel it in that area. Whew. So, you don't cheat yourself, man. Even though, 25 may be a little number. I'm not going to work my way back to the big numbers I was at. But I'm trying different things. I need to get back to doing jumping jacks. And even with the jumping jacks, I work my way up to 200, but this would be an exercise I would do with the jumping jacks, honestly. Jumping jacks, then 25 of each. 25 of each of them. That would be good. Or at least 25 of the presses. And then maybe 25 push-ups or 50 push-ups. Either way, something. But something is better than nothing, man. You have to start somewhere. You got to start doing something. If you have excess weight on you, I feel like I got excess weight on me. I have to get it off me. Man. You have to get it off you. We have to be healthier. You may have people who are watching you and coming after you like I do. I want to be around at least 92 years like my grandfather is. My other grandfather, 95. They still around. I want to still be around. My 92-year-old grandfather is still out there in the woods, in the swamps, hunting, fishing, building shit. And I want to still be able to do that and have the same movement, understanding, still have all his everything. He still have everything he has, his memories, his mind is still good. His eyes is good. His heart is good. Everything is good, still strong and good to go, raring to go, wanting to go. I want to be like that. I want to have some of that. And it starts by you taking care of your body while you're younger. And you have breath to breathe. So you have all you need to succeed. So succeed. Let's do it. We can make the changes in our life, man. You don't have to sit on your ass and be fat and be out of shape. You could get up and do something with your children. Let your children see better examples. You be the better example for yourself. And then by you being the better example for yourself, you'll be the better example for those that come after you. I love when my son come in here and see me doing shit, he see me working out, he see me reading, and he cries sometimes when it's time for him to read because he's still learning. But the fact that he sees me read, hopefully that'll help push him to know that, look, hey, it's all right. It's just going to take some time. You could do it. It's just going to take some time. But let's be better examples, man. Let's be better examples, and you gotta start somewhere. So even if you think 25 not good enough, let 25 be your starting point. 25 be your starting point and work your way up. That is to try to be able to help and build a better routine, a better habit, a better habit. And sometimes it takes time to break them old habits and build up better habits. Redo the habits, learn new ones, build new ones, be consistent with them. And working out is definitely something that if you don't have the to do so on your own, you might be sluggish to do something or slothful to do something. So, hey, y'all help me, I'll help you. Let's help each other. Let's help each other so we can all be right. We can all be right. Man, we might have to survive out here. Who knows? You might, you know, they be bullshitting and talking about the zombies, but shit, hey, if the zombies came, could you run? Could you fight? Are you gonna be taken the first night? Because your body ain't right. You're gonna be a fat zombie. There's gonna be a lot of fat zombies walking around here, baby. A lot of out of shape zombies with big appetites. All you can eat buffet appetites. But hey, we did our thing today though. Part 19 was accomplished. We succeeded. Part 19 of Reading with SHILO was we succeeded in that. In the sea of pages that has been laid before us by Ms. GWENDOLYN MIDLO Hall. And we will keep pushing forward in Ms. GWENDOLYN MIDLO Hall's book until we reach the end, which we're not far off. We're not far off. I think the book has, let me see, I think it has 11 chapters. I think it has 11 chapters. Yes. It has 11 chapters plus the conclusion. The conclusion is 5 pages. But man, we're on chapter 8. We are on chapter 8. 1, 2, 3, 4 chapters. And chapter 9 gonna be long. Chapter 9 is long. Chapter 9 is long. And well, yeah, chapter 9 is pretty long. Chapter 7 was long. 8 gonna be long from 237 to 275 for chapter 8, and then chapter 9 from 275 to 316, and then chapter that's 9 to 10, and chapter 10 to 11 is 316 to 343, 30-some pages, 33 pages, and then we'll have about 30 pages to finish off chapter 11 to the conclusion. But we'll keep pushing, man, a little bit at a time, one day at a time, one book at a time, one part at a time, one chapter at a time, one page at a time, one paragraph at a time, here a little, there a little, until we find the things that have been left behind, until we find the truths and uproot the lies. Until we see what they have hidden, until the treasures be found. I'm going to keep being a pirate on the sea of pages, baby. We out here. Till next time, man, catch me. Go back and check some of the recent ones out, or some of the other parts of this book if you're trying to catch up. See what Ms. GWENDOLYN MIDLO Hall is talking about, man. Leave a comment. I would love to hear from y'all. Definitely put the likes. It helps to grow the channel, and we're going to keep pushing, man. I'm out here. Shalom, man. Y'all have a happy Sabbath. Holla at y'all tomorrow, Lord willing. Shalom. I'm out.